Hey there, this is Red. It's time for a Red Reveal. So what we're going to take a look at today is Marvel Champions, the Galaxy's Most Wanted. Been looking forward to this expansion here. We've got Groot and Rocket on here, and Rocket is one of my favorite from the MCU stuff that came out. So I was really excited about this set to come out. I don't really know how I feel about the whole spaceship thing and all of that getting into gameplay, but the two characters themselves I'm pretty excited about. So jury's out on the campaign stuff for this, which I haven't played yet, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from the heroes so far. So the way I think I'm going to play this is I'm going to do an opening of each of the heroes separately. So this video, we're going to go over Rocket and take a look at all of Rocket's cards. Now, actually, I've opened about 4 of these already and added them to my little side store that I've got where I sell individual cards. That was one of the kind of Easter things that I did was I opened up 4 of those boxes, put the cards out there, and then I didn't let anybody know because they're kind of like Easter eggs. And a lot of the good cards sold out that day. So it's kind of crazy. Some of the cards are still out there, but a lot of them sold out. So let's take a look at Rocket here. Now, the first side you've got here, and I do like how in the most recent versions they put the hero sides facing up because earlier on you had the alter ego sides facing up. But anyway, okay. So we've got Rocket Raccoon here, and he's got 3 recovery. Now, the ability that he has is Tinkering, which is an action. Choose and discard a tech upgrade you control. Draw 2 cards. Now this seems like kind of a ability, but looking at Rocket, the number of tech upgrades that he has in his deck is pretty amazing. The other thing to note is Rocket has a lot of cards in his deck that are restricted cards. Now restricted cards you can have 2 of in play at any time. And I think what they're going after with Rocket is it's like he's kind of got 2 guns or whatever. So that's the most you can have of those cards out at once. So it's kind of nice. And a lot of those take charges. It's kind of nice you can discard them using his action and bring another one out. So it's probably not a great thing like for other characters, but for Rocket, it fits really well. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at Rocket Raccoon there. He's got, I love that murdered you response. After you deal excess damage to an enemy, draw a card. So there are some things that add excess damage in this set, and Rocket takes full advantage of that. Now he's got 2 thwart, 1 attack, and 1 defense. I was kind of expecting him to come out with more attack, but if you kind of look at it, he's a little raccoon, and it's usually his weapons and stuff that are allowing him to do things like attack-wise and not he himself. So I think that does actually play in there pretty well. And he's a pretty sly guy and good at planning, so I think having the high thwart does in the end make sense. So the other thing we're looking at is a hand size of 5 and 9 hit points, and then we have a hand size of 6 on your alter ego side there. So not impressive set of hit points there. Hand size is okay. We're all right with that. All right, so let's take a look at some of Rocket's cards here. Let's get Rocket out of the way a little bit. All right, so we've got I've Got a Plan. So if I've got a plan, you've got a hero response. Oop, actually, let me put that in the middle. There we go, that makes sense. All right, so we've got I've Got a Plan. So we have a hero response after you make a basic thwart. Ready, Rocket Raccoon. Raccoon gets +1 thwart while in hero form until the end of the phase. So that's getting you into a double thwarting range, right? So at that point, you're thwarting for 5? Yeah, so you could thwart for 5 in a round, which is pretty good, I'd have to say. So, and I like that scene there with the robot arm. So you've got, and it only costs 1, so that's pretty cheap cost to get rid of, potentially 5 threat. All right, so we've got 2 I've Got a Plan. We've got a Reload, which is an event, hero action, ready each tech upgrade you control. So with Rocket, that ends up being pretty handy, as we'll see. He's got two of those in there. Oh, and now it's pronunciation time. So Schadenfreude. I don't remember how to say that one. So it took me a while to figure that what that picture is, and I think that's Rocket flying in the ship there and just blowing the crap out of stuff, right? So until the end of turn, heal 2 damage from Rocket Raccoon each time you deal any amount of damage to an enemy. So that can be pretty crazy with Rocket. And there's some, additional cards you could throw in there that do like 1 to each enemy. So it would be fairly easy to get Rocket back up to full if you've got that card. So awesome. All right, Salvage is an interesting card, so it's a resource. After you spend this card, put a tech upgrade from your discard pile on top of your deck. So that's getting those using Rocket's alter ego ability. You can get rid of them, and this is going to allow you to take them back out of your discard pile and throw them back on top of your deck, which plays really, really well into Rocket's theme, I think. And the other part is you've got a mental and a wild, which is an interesting combination for resources there. All right, so there's 2 salvages in there. And then we've got a battery pack. So enters play with 2 charge counters on it. Exhaust battery pack, move a charge counter from the card to another tech upgrade you control. So this becomes important with Rocket because a lot of the weapons that Rocket has make use of charges rather than having uses. So there's a rule in the game when you have something that has uses and you exhaust the uses, it goes to the discard pile. But Rocket stuff has charges and you use the charge counters on them to make the thing happen. So they do not run out of uses and go to your discard pile. Instead, if they have no charge counters, they don't work anymore. So you need to find a way to get rid of them or add charge counters. And we have the battery pack that adds charge counters. All right, so we got 1, 2 of those. Then we have a Cybernetic Skeleton, which is a 2-cost upgrade, 3 hit points and +1 attack. Love it. And it fits in with Rocket really well. That gets his attack back up there a little bit. All right, the particle cannon. Awesome picture, Rocket with the big gun. So restricted, enters play with 2 charges on it. Now remember, restricted, you can only have 2 restricted cards in play at any point. Exhaust particle cannon and remove 1 charge counter from it. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. That attack gains overkill and ranged. Woohoo! It's a big gun. All right. Then we've got the rocket launcher, which is kind of almost a bigger gun. Restricted, enters play with 2 charge counters on it. Hero action, exhaust rocket launcher and remove 1 charge counter from it. Choose a player, deal 2 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. So that's an example of Rocket's healing one that we saw before. He could hit something, and if you're in the Ultron one, that's like set to fill him up on health, right? So awesome. Love the artwork on that one too. Big gun. All right, now we've got yet another restricted item, which is Rocket's pistol. So this one gets 3 charge counters, and you're going to exhaust it, take away a charge counter, and it deals 2 damage. And there's actually 2 of Rocket's pistols out there. All right, so now you're starting to see where cycling these things would be good, and Rocket's alter ego ability is going to be pretty awesome. All right, then finally we've got thruster boots. So while in hero form, Rocket Raccoon gets +1 thwart and gains aerial. So you're getting up to a thwart of 3, which is pretty dang powerful there. So I like Rocket. I think he's very thematic. Looks really good. Looks like a good character set of cards there. All right, so now we're getting into the kind of general use cards, right? So Rocket is aggression, which totally makes sense. It totally fits. So you've got Bug. After your hero makes a basic attack, heal 1 damage from Bug. He's only got 2 health, and he costs 2. So really he's going to go after you go, I guess, in order to heal that 1 damage. So going to be an interesting character. I imagine there's some mixes out there that will help him do some fun stuff. So also Rocket potentially doing multiple attacks. If you had Bug up on the health side, you would be able to heal multiple from Bug. So could be kind of neat. Now he's only got 1 attack and 1 thwart, so he's a cheap ally. All right, we've got to chase him down in there. So Even some more threat removal from Rocket. We got 1, 2 of those in there. Into the fray, deal 6 damage to a minion for each point of excess damage dealt by this attack. Remove 1 threat from the main scheme. So this isn't the first time we've seen this card, but it also fits into Rocket's thing. Some big damage there. Got 3 of those in there. Now here's a new card we've got, Looking for Trouble. All right, so it's a hero action. It's a 0-cost event. It's a hero action thwart. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play engaged with you. Remove 3 threat from the main scheme. Certain characters are going to love that card. Now bring in the minions and deal me a card. It's going to be a good setup. So I think that's going to be a popular card. All right, 2, 3 of those. Now Relentless Assault, that's a repeat there, but it had Rocket on it, so you knew it was going to come out with Rocket, right? So 5 damage to a minion. If you paid for this card using physical resources, the attack gains overkill. It even looks like the Rocket Hero card, so, you know, you knew this one was going to be in this deck somewhere. All right. Now, this has been a very hot card, Follow Through. 2-cost upgrade, Hero Interrupt. When your hero's attack deals any amount of excess damage, increase that amount by 1. So there's a whole lot of cards out there that are allowing you to do things when you do excess damage, or you get to plow through the minion onto the villain, right? So, and if you look at this as a 2-cost upgrade, so you could have multiples of those sitting out there and potentially do an additional 3 damage. So that's a pretty nice card for 2 cost. And 3 of those came in here. All right. These have also gone pretty well too. So the hand cannon. So a tech weapon, restricted. So yet another thing that ends in Rocket's basic deck that's a restricted thing. Uses 3 charge counters. When your hero makes a basic attack, exhaust hand cannon, remove 1 charge counter from it. Your hero gets +2 attack for that attack. That attack gains overkill. So there you go. You're kind of looking at why you might want to do some follow through with some hand cannon. And there are 3 hand cannons in here, I think. Yeah, 3 hand cannons. So pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna look at our allies. So you're gonna get Groot, because kind of Groot's got the team up going on with Rocket there. So Groot is 1 thwart, 2 attack, and he takes 2 consequential when he does his attack. He's a 3-cost ally. Now 6 health is huge. Play only if you have the Guardian trait, so I think that kind of limits it to Rocket at this point in time. Then after Groot defends against an attack, heal 2 damage from him. So you've actually got a ally, potentially an ally blocker, that can stick around and block multiple, which is pretty cool. It's not something that happens a whole lot. Like, that's kind of a new aspect of the game. So 3 cost for a 6 health ally that could block multiple times. So those little minions don't ping away at you. That's kind of nice. The other interesting thing here is Groot is a basic ally. So you could say he would potentially go in a lot of decks, but then you have to have Guardian in order to play him. So then that's not likely going to happen. It makes me wonder, though, if there's going to be a theme in our Guardian cards here where the Guardians themselves end up being basic allies, so you can essentially have the whole team in your deck. That way, if I was playing solo, I could have, you know, the whole Guardians of the Galaxy team in my deck. Would be interesting. We'll see how they play throughout other decks. Should probably look at the spoilers and I would know, right? All right, Flora and Fauna. So we've got a team up. This is our Groot Rocket team up. So hero action, play 2 growth counters on Groot and ready him. Place 2 charge counters on Rocket Raccoon upgrades and ready that upgrade. So it does basically good things for both of them. They're both their special abilities, which it kind of it plays well into that. So these team up cards I haven't been overly excited about, mainly because I play solo. So your chances of getting the ally out there and the team up out there aren't all that great. I suppose you could really work for it, but usually they don't both come out into play. I can see we're playing 2 players, and this would be a pretty handy card because you can really use it at about any time. It doesn't take like the enemy having to play a treachery in one case or some other effect to be out there. You can just drop it and you get the counter. So that's pretty nice. All right, we got our standard double resource stuff, which along with our salvage puts 5 double resources in this deck. All right, then we've got booster boots. So you have to have a guardian, and you're going to get max 1 per player. So you have hero interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, exhaust booster boots and discard the top card of your deck. Prevent 1 of that damage. So you're going to shoot up in the air, and you're going to prevent just 1. So, but I looked at that one. I'm like, oh, this might be another thing to add into the Iron Man Tech Nova deck, but no, you got to have the Guardian trait. So Iron Man is not getting the booster boots. Guardians only. So it's interesting that there's a lot of Guardian only cards in here. Okay, so finally, we're going to take a look at what Rocket's got for Obligations and Nemesis card. So his obligation is, it's got your standard, you can flip, exhaust your alter ego, remove Crisis of Half-World from the game. The other side of it is discard the highest cost upgrade you control. If no upgrade was discarded, this card gains Surge, discard this obligation. So in Rocket's case, that might not be horrible. Sometimes you've got a big upgrade out there that you would kind of like to get rid of because you're out of charges. So I could see where you might just take the bottom one because it's more beneficial to you with Rocket. So we'll see how it functions in play. All right, then we're going to look at Vendetta. So Vendetta here says, I know you hate the world, but hey, if it looks like a it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and walks like a duck, it's a raccoon from Blackjack O'Hare. All right, so what this adds is it's interesting in that it adds a new aspect to the game. You see plus and then the boost symbol. So what's going to happen is when you flip something and it has boost symbols, it's going to add 1 to the boosts. So how much does that matter? It's going to make things a little bit tougher. Might be kind of fun in like a Scarlet Witch deck. If you're teaming up with Scarlet Witch, you might want the Vendetta ally or the Vendetta side scheme out there because maybe it gives you a little bit of a boost. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. So it's an interesting idea and it's a new mechanic in the game. So we'll see how that goes. All right, then we've got Blackjack O'Hare himself. So he's got 1 scheme, 1 attack. He's got 3 health and comes out with Quick Strike. And then he's got Villainous. So Villainous says when this minion activates, give it a boost card. So his 1 scheme and 1 attack don't look all that bad, but he's going to get boost cards. Plus, he's got that side scheme that comes out that gives him an additional boost. So he's potentially able to do a lot of damage there. So not all that scary by himself, but he's got some add-ons that make him kind of cool. All right, then we've got Blackjack's Bazooka, which would go to Blackjack O'Hare and give him +2 attack, which is pretty massive. It's interesting that if he's not out there, it goes to the villain. So the villain would get +2 attack. And then you have to spend 3 mental resources to get rid of that card. So that's a lot of mental resources to get together. Rocket has a lot of mental resources in his deck, but a lot of other characters, that's going to be a tough thing to fill. There is 3 mental resources to get rid of it. So. All right, then we've got Planetary Invasion. When revealed, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Reveal that minion, then give it a tough status card. So that's an interesting twist there because a lot of times it's you put it into play and you don't actually reveal it, which means that a lot of the effects on the minion don't come into play, but this is a reveal that minion. So a lot of the effects that happen on the minions are going to affect when this card hits, plus it's going to get a tough status card. So I think that's a pretty rough treachery card right there. All right, and there's 2 of those. And then we're done with the Rocket deck. So, oh, wait, nope. yeah, we got our Vendetta, and then we've got Crisis on Half-World. Okay, making sure. All right, so that takes us through the Rocket Raccoon deck. Initial impressions of the Rocket Raccoon deck. Haven't played him yet. I will shortly. We'll get him on camera here. I really think he's thematically what I thought Rocket Raccoon should be. He's an aggression hero, things that I like. He's got lots of guns, which is kind of fun. The tech stuff, his ability there on the alter ego to discard some of the weapons and things in order to like build new things. His salvage card, I think he just drips with theme and what you would expect him to be. How he plays, I have really no idea at this point in time, but I think he's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have to see. I like the deck of cards that he comes with too. I think there's a lot of interesting additional cards that come in that deck that will probably make their way into other decks. How well will Rocket play with cards that are not part of the base deck that he comes with? Like if you take him to something like Protection or Leadership, I'll be interested to see how that works. Things like the hand cannon look really nice, but if you take it out of a rocket deck, there's not a way to put charge counters back on it. So there's some things in here that I think will be really interesting how much they get played in other decks, because they do kind of jive with Rocket a little bit, and then Rocket jives with those cards. So how much are you going to be interested in taking those away and switching him to a different aspect or something? Be interesting to see how that plays. So I don't really see him as a protection hero with this deck, I would say. But, you know, we'll see. I'll be interested to hear what you folks are playing him as. If you switched him from aggression over to something else like leadership, because he always seems to want to be captain of the ship. Maybe that's the role that he needs to play there. I don't know. I could see him potentially being Justice. Could see that play go through. So anyway, I've gone through all the Rocket Raccoon. Pretty soon I'll do a separate video where we'll go through Groot. And then another video, maybe we'll take a look at the campaign stuff. I really haven't looked over the campaign yet, so that should be interesting. Kind of wondering about playing it, wondering what your opinions are on the actual campaign play. You liking it or not liking it, or I don't know, let me know what you think. So a whole lot of market cards in there. I'm interested to read the rules and figure out how the market cards work. So, all right, that's it for now. Next up, we'll be going through Groot, and thanks for watching.